What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Comics Clash. As Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has dropped in theaters, today I'm going to be giving you guys my full MCU tier list. So this will be ranking every single Marvel movie and TV show inside of the MCU up till Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So this is a lot of movies to rank, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun, so let's dive into it. Alright, let's take a look at the tiers first. So at the top we got Masterpiece, of course. This will be movies that I think are 10 out of 10. Then we got the Awesome tier, 9 out of 10. Great tier, 8 out of 10. Good tier, 7 out of 10. Okay tier, 6 out of 10, meh tier, 5 out of 10, bad tier, 4 to 3 out of 10, and then absolute dog crap, which is actually reserved for just one thing, and I think you guys could guess what that is, but we'll have to find out later. So with that said, let's dive into the ranking. Starting off with the original Iron Man, the kickstart to the MCU. The original Iron Man is a great movie. It's actually a really great movie. Solid soundtrack, an amazing character, and a great character arc for Tony. It really sets up his story throughout the entire Infinity Saga, and Robert Downey Jr. is amazing with Iron Man, and I think the whole movie just has a great tone. It's really interesting, and it's just like a whole enjoyable movie. It's simple, and it's a great time. Now, the only couple issues that I would have would be with Pepper and then Obadiah as the villain. He wasn't great, but he wasn't bad by any means. The movie's awesome, the soundtrack's great, and Robert Downey Jr. does a great job with this character, so I'm going to be putting Iron Man on the great tier. Then we have The Incredible Hulk, which is honestly one of my least favorite MCU movies. I don't think it's absolutely horrible, but it just doesn't live up to any of the other MCU movies, and I always forget to watch it. I never want to go back and rewatch it. It's super boring. The only redeemable part is the final battle with Abomination, which I think is really well done. The CGI is nice in that. But other than that, all the characters are uninteresting, the plot's really boring, and it's just not a good movie that I really like to go back and rewatch. So it's just a bad movie. I don't really like The Incredible Hulk that much, and I'm going to put it on the bad tier. Then we have Iron Man 2, which I actually think is quite an underrated movie. The only problem about this one is how horrible the villains are. I mean, Whiplash is not a great villain, and then add in Justin Hammer, you got a horrible villain problem. But the relationship with Rhodey and Tony is absolutely fun to watch. They have such a great dynamic on screen. And, you know, of course, Don Cheadle and Robert Downey Jr. do a great job with these characters, and then together they have such a great comedic duo, which I just think is fun to watch. It's not great by any means, and it's not even that good. I'm going to put it on the okay tier, but it's an alright watch. It's pretty underrated. Then we have the first Thor movie, which is actually probably the most underrated movie. If we're talking underrated, Iron Man 2 is underrated, but Thor is really underrated. I think this movie is actually really good. It fleshes out Thor's character and Loki's character. They have a great brother dynamic inside the film. There's a lot of great action, and then seeing Thor's character on Earth was really cool as well. It is a bit forgettable, and at times it's slow on Earth, but it's actually a really good movie, and I love seeing the brotherly relationship through Thor and Loki, and then his relationship with Jane is actually interesting to watch as well. It's just a really great time seeing this mythological world of Asgard, and I have a good time watching Thor. It's a good movie, and I know a lot of you guys won't agree with that, but I think Thor's quite a good movie. Then we have Captain America the First Avenger, which is just a great introduction to the character of Steve Rogers. I think the World War II setting really gives you the vibes that you think of when you originally think of Captain America, and I think that's a really good thing. The whole story with the Nazis and then Hydra, it's not great by any means, and it's not as interesting as seeing our character of Captain America go on this journey. But, you know, just kind of the villain squad that's there, and, you know, they don't really matter all that much, but it's still fun to see Steve's character, and Chris Evans does a great job with the character. There's a lot of great action scenes, a lot of great moments that play out really nicely that I really enjoy, and Captain America the First Avenger is a good start to Captain America's character and his trilogy. I'm going to put the First Avenger on the good tier, and right in front of Thor. Then we have the original Avengers movie, which is just absolutely awesome. Seeing all the characters on screen together is so much fun. They all have a moment to shine, and just seeing this team of superheroes for the first time on the big screen is just such an experience. Of course, I wasn't old enough to go watch it in the theaters, but it must have been awesome seeing all these characters for the first time on screen together. It's so cool having this superhero team, and this was a great introduction to the team. Every character gets a moment to shine, every character does something significant, and I think it's just such a great movie. It sets up a lot of great arcs for our characters, especially like Thor and Hulk, as their arcs wasn't really fully set up in their movies, but it does a great job with all these characters. I have such a fun time watching the movie. So many great action scenes. Loki's an awesome villain. It's just an awesome movie that I really enjoy. And of course, the one shot where you pan the camera around the whole team and you get to see everyone readying up to fight. It's just such an iconic moment, and this really puts the superhero smile that you want from watching these movies, and it's just an awesome movie. I'm going to put it on the awesome tier. Alright, then we gotta kick off phase 2 with Iron Man 3, and I think this movie is it's just not that great. I don't even think I like it as much as Iron Man 2. Iron Man 3 is just really uninteresting. Our villain is even worse in this one. Aldrich Killian is super forgettable, and then we got the rip-off Mandarin, which is just also really annoying. There's some nice action scenes. The final battle with Tony blowing up all his suits was really cool, and there's a little nice dynamic between him and the kid that he meets along his journey. And, you know, it's an alright film. It's not great by any means. It's entertaining at times. The villain kind of sucks. And there are quite a few plotting issues and then pacing issues. But the final scene, it brings the film up. It's entertaining enough. And I think Iron Man 3 deserves to be on the okay tier, right behind Iron Man 2. Then we have Thor the Dark World, which is definitely the most boring MCU movie, most forgettable. The Loki and Thor dynamic is actually really great in this movie. And there's a lot of scenes with Loki that are really fleshed out, really done nicely with him and Thor's character. And then the tease at the end where Loki was actually alive was pretty cool to see unfold on the screen. Other than that, the movie is super boring. The villain is super forgettable. Not many great action scenes. The whole movie is just meh, and it's really bland, forgettable, and boring. So I'm going to put Thor the Dark World on the meh tier, very low, close to the bad tier. But the Thor and Loki dynamic actually kind of brings it up quite a bit for me. Then we have Captain America the Winter Soldier. I think this is the most overrated MCU movie, but it's still an awesome movie. Falcon and Winter Soldier are such great introductions inside this film, and I really like what they do with the Winter Soldier's character in here. Bucky is awesome, and just seeing him and Steve, like, as they've known each other in their past, and just seeing that Bucky actually remembers Steve and kind of saves him at the end was really sweet. It was cool to see unfold. The action is top notch in this movie. There are so many great fight scenes, so many great set pieces that are so cool to watch unfold, and it's just a really great time. Nick Fury in this movie was also really great, and I think Captain America the Winter Soldier is a great movie. It's not awesome, but I think I had a great time with it. And, you know, the scenes that I just don't really like are the Hydra scenes and then going deeper into that kind of side of things. I'm not really interested in all that. There's some scenes that were forgettable as well, but most of it's top notch. It's a great action movie, and I like Captain America the Winter Soldier, so I'm going to put it on the great tier. Then we had the Avengers Age of Ultron, and this is 100% the most underrated MCU movie. Avengers Age of Ultron is great. It's a great comeback for our Avengers, seeing them fight on screen together, giving us that team back again, where we have new introductions with Vision, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver, who are all really great. They have some amazing fight scenes, some amazing storylines and plots that are really well discovered, and then seeing Ultron as the villain, he's actually not even bad. He's a great villain, and just seeing how this whole movie unfolds was super cool. And then Sokovia going up in the air as the Avengers have to save it was so cool to watch. And, you know, it's just a really fun movie. I think all the time when we have the team together, it's just really awesome to see unfold. It's a great time. Now, my only really issues comes with Quicksilver's character, how they killed him off so fast. And then there were a couple plotting issues, a couple pacing issues that I didn't really like. But overall, this movie's actually really underrated. It's a great movie. It's a great time. I'm going to put Avengers Age of Ultron on the great tier. Then we have the original Ant-Man movie, and this is a cool introduction to the character. Scott is awesome in this movie. There's some great comedy, and Paul Rudd is really well casted in the characters. Now, there are some pacing issues, and Yellow Jacket is not the best villain, but it's a really fun time. Seeing Scott go from ex-con to Ant-Man is a really fun journey, and it's well explored in this film. Hank Pym does a great job, and seeing him on screen was cool. And then we have the Wasp in here, which she's not fully the Wasp, but she's cool, having a nice little dynamic with Scott. And I just like this movie. It's a fun little time. It's not great by any means, but it's a good movie. I'm going to put it on the good tier. Captain America Civil War, which is just absolutely amazing. Everything about this movie is almost perfect. We have the most amazing superhero fight scene of all time. All the characters are nicely fleshed out, and we understand which side they are on and for what reasons they are. And then the culmination up to that airport battle scene is so well done. Seeing how, you know, T'Challa's father died in the explosion from Bucky, and just everything that how it plays out is so nice to see. It's very well executed. Everyone does a great job acting, and it's just such a phenomenal movie. And then the one scene that really elevates it all the way to a top-notch MCU movie is the scene with Iron Man finding out that Bucky killed his parents, and then Steve and Bucky take on Iron Man, which is just so cool to watch. And it, you know, it invokes some nice emotion it's a really great way to end things off, as the Avengers have split up and there's a lot of beef between them, but then they have to come together for Infinity War. And I just think this was a great way to do the team splitting up. Everything's so well done. All the characters get a moment to shine, and then introducing all our new characters was so cool to see. Spider-Man and Black Panther in this movie were absolutely awesome to see. I'm gonna put it on the masterpiece tier, actually. I love it. All the characters get a moment to shine, and it's just top-notch superhero movie. Then we have Doctor Strange. Now, this movie is actually pretty good. I think Benedict Cumberbatch does a great job with the character. And, seeing the mystic arts and the side of things with the magicians and the sorcerers in this movie was really cool to see. I like most of the characters in here. Wong is good, and it's a fun watch. Seeing Doctor Strange's origin story and learning more about the multiverse was really cool. Now, my issues do come in the villain. Caecilius is not a great villain at all, and then Dormammu was even worse. And I wasn't really interested in the Ancient Ones kind of helping with Doctor Strange. I don't think she was an interesting character. And then, going back and thinking on it, it's a little bit forgettable. But Doctor Strange's character is really well done. Benedict gives a great performance. Learning about the multiverse was really cool. And then the Time Stone. And, of course, we got Wong in here, which is always an MVP. Love Wong so much. And this movie, it's pretty good. It's a good movie. It's not great by any means, but it's a good movie. And I think Benedict does a great job with character. Then we have Spider-Man Homecoming. Simple but sweet. Spider-Man Homecoming is a very well executed Spider-Man origin story, really giving you a taste of Peter's character. Tom Holland is amazing in the role, and just seeing this introduction to the character was really nice. Now, the Iron Boy Jr. stuff, yeah, it's pretty annoying, and I don't really like what they do with him and Tony's relationship in this film. It's a little bit like, it's like, do we really have to go there? Spider-Man is his own hero, and he should be, and that happens in No Way Home. But this film was a great introduction to his character. The Vulture is a very menacing villain. It's a very small-scale movie, but it's executed very well. And I think that's what's great about Spider-Man Homecoming. It doesn't have to be super grand to tell a very nice, compelling, simple, and sweet story with Spider-Man's character. And I think that's what it does well. And then the final battle with the Vulture is really cool to see on the beach. And Peter dating his daughter, and then, that tension in the car. Michael Keaton gives a great performance as the Vulture. And, it's a really great movie. I'm going to put Spider-Man Homecoming on the great tier. A little bit lower, but it's a pretty great movie. It's a pretty great movie. Then we have Thor Ragnarok. Now, this movie is so cool. It is absolutely amazing. Everything about this movie is great. The soundtrack's great. What they do with Thor's character. Hela is an awesome villain. Everything is just so well done. The comedy slaps. Taika Waititi really shines for this movie. And I wish he did that for Love and Thunder, because Thor Ragnarok is so good. It's such a great movie. There's so many amazing standout scenes. The fight on the Rainbow Bridge was so cool to watch. And then the battle with Thor and Hulk and them having to work together. So much great comedy, so much great action, and there's quite a bit of heart in here as well. Hela is an awesome villain, and just seeing this movie and rewatching it after doing my MCU rewatch, it's a really, really great movie. I'm gonna have to put it on the masterpiece tier, actually. Now, I know that sounds a little bit far-fetched, but Thor Ragnarok, I don't have any issues with it. It's a masterpiece, honestly. It's a masterpiece in the superhero genre. I love it a lot. Then we have Black Panther. Now, Black Panther is actually quite a great introduction to the character, seeing the world of Wakanda very well executed. It really brings you into this immersive experience of the world of Wakanda, and just seeing how everything functions there with the tribes and all that stuff was really cool. And, I love certain characters in here. Some of them I don't. I really like M'Baku, and I love Shuri and T'Challa, of course. And, Chadwick Boseman gives an amazing performance. R.I.P. He was so fantastic in the role. And the soundtrack's actually really good as well. The fight scenes are great. And Killmonger's a pretty great villain. Now, my only issues really come in with the tribes and how they kind of interact with T'Challa after. They totally betray him for Killmonger for the stupid ritual reasons and for the religion stuff of it. I think that was pretty dumb. It kind of showed how they actually really don't care about T'Challa's character, and then the only ones who really stuck with him were his sister and his mother, and that was kind of sad. But other than that, I really enjoyed this movie. Great soundtrack, great action. And then I also have some issues with Ulysses Claw as well, and then some of the pacing issues as well. But Black Panther's a great movie. It's a really great movie. I like Black Panther a lot. Avengers Infinity War. Now, this movie was just absolutely crazy. It was so awesome to watch unfold. Seeing all the Avengers on screen along with the Guardians of the Galaxy is so cool to watch. You know, there's some amazing fight scenes in here. Every character also gets a moment to shine in this movie. And there's so many characters in this movie. But everyone has that one memorable moment that you remember watching. And I think that's what's great about this movie, and how there's so many different separate storylines going on. We had the Wakanda fight, and then them on Titan with Thanos. It's so cool to watch. There's so many awesome fight scenes. You know, everyone's doing a great job acting. It's a bit over the top. It's a bit crazy, but it's a superhero movie, and it's a really perfect superhero movie. And then the final scene with Thanos' snap was super emotional, and seeing how our Avengers lost. The first movie where the heroes lose, and I think that's just something that's really well done. It's something that we haven't seen much of before, and I think it's important that we do see that. It's definitely one of my favorite MCU movies, and I'm going to put it on the masterpiece tier for that, ahead of Civil War and Thor Ragnarok. Alright, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Honestly, after rewatching it for Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp is not a bad film by any means. It's a good time, it's a good sequel. Ghost is a pretty good villain, and it's got some good comedy, some nice light moments. Now, there are, of course, some moments that, you know, they could cut out, some things that are like, do we really have to add that in there? But I think it's a solid, simple story. Not like Spider-Man Homecoming solid, but it's a good time. I actually think I might even prefer this over the first Ant-Man movie, just on a comedic level. And then Ghost, I think, is a better villain than Yellow Jacket. It works on pretty much every level for me. I really like Ant-Man and the Wasp quite a bit. Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp is a good movie. Alright, we've come to Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, it's just not a good movie. I do love Nick Fury in this film. Seeing a younger version of him is really cool, but the whole rest of the movie is really forgettable. Captain Marvel's character is pretty unlikable. They just don't do enough to flesh out her character, give her enough human traits for you to enjoy seeing her on screen. And, you know, most of the film is just kind of bland. It's mostly forgettable. Now, Nick Fury, of course, Samuel L. Jackson is, of course, great as Nick Fury, and he gives probably his best performance as Nick Fury in this movie. And I think that's where this movie kind of moves from the bad tier to the mid tier for me. And I just don't like Talos as a villain. I don't like the Skrulls and all that kind of stuff. Of course, Talos wasn't the villain. Never mind, I forgot all about that. You know, Captain Marvel's a really forgettable movie. I don't really care to go back and rewatch it. It's going on the mid tier behind Thor: The Dark World. Avengers Endgame. Oh, man, this movie's awesome. This movie is perfect. My favorite MCU movie, as you guys know. It is so well done. It's crazy how we had so many years of culmination, characters, learning stories, and then it all came down to Endgame, the final movie, and it's just done so well. Everything goes so nicely. All our characters get a moment to shine, of course. Just like in Infinity War, they do it properly in Endgame. Of course, we have our original 6 Avengers in here, as well as a couple others to complete the team and bring back our Avengers. The final portal scene is absolutely crazy to watch. It's so fun to see unfold, and then Captain America getting Mjolnir, Iron Man dying. It hits you in the emotions, it hits you in the feels, it gives you chills. It's everything you want from a superhero movie. The most epic culmination we can ask for. Avengers Endgame is a masterpiece. Let's get that one on the masterpiece here. Alright, here we go. Spider-Man Far From Home, the post-Endgame movie. Honestly, this movie is pretty underrated. It has a lot of unprecedented hate. I don't get why a lot of people are hating on Spider-Man Far From Home. It's a great movie, great sequel to Homecoming, and a great epilogue to Endgame. It does a great job with Peter's character, and then Tom Holland gives another great performance. Mysterio is a good introduction to the MCU. He's a great villain, and, you know, seeing him for the first time in this movie was so cool to watch. And then that final scene with him revealing Peter's identity was crazy to watch. And then, you know, leading it all up to No Way Home, which is just so perfect. I really like this movie a lot. Some great action, some great character moments. Peter's character is done very well. And I just think Spider-Man Far From Home, it goes under a lot of people's radar. And I think it's a great movie. It's a great movie. Spider-Man Far From Home is a great movie. Then we have Black Widow, the kickoff to Phase 4. And honestly, I don't really like it all that much. There's some good action, some nice things with Black Widow's character and her family. There's a nice little family dynamic with their characters. But overall, it's just not that interesting, not that rewatchable. I've only watched it once actually since it came out, and that was like 2 years ago. And most MCU movies I've watched more than twice, more than 3 times. But Black Widow's not one that I've come to, want to rewatch. The CGI kind of sucks. The villains are really trash. The only thing that really holds it up is the family dynamics and then what they do with Black Widow's character. I think it's pretty nice. But overall, I just don't really like Black Widow all that much. The villains aren't great. The third act isn't good. It's all messy. But I really do like the family dynamics. Red Guardian is great, and Yelena is great as well. I'm going to have to put Black Widow on the med tier. Definitely the best out of the med tier, but it's not one that I really consider a good MCU movie. So that's why I'm going to have to put Black Widow on the med tier. Then we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is, it's a really great movie. Shang-Chi's character is a good introduction to the MCU. I'm really excited to see him in future projects. They do a great job with his origin story, and then Wenwu is a really heartbreaking villain. Just seeing what happened with his character and how he just wants his wife. It's really sad to see, and then, he takes a darker path in this movie, and I think it's done very well. Shang-Chi's character is great, and Wenwu is an awesome villain. They do a lot of great things with the comedy, the action, and the spectacle of this movie that really make it a nice time, a great rewatchable MCU movie. Now, the only really things I can say is about Katie's character, who's just, it's like, why do we have to add her in here? She's like, just kind of there. Now, the comedy's nice as well, and the story's nicely written. Some pacing issues, some story aspects that don't fully come together, but it's a really great time. It's a great movie. And also seeing the Mandarin in here from Iron Man 3 was much better. Seeing his character just as a joke was really fun to watch. And then the little furry thing, Morris, he's really cute. It was cool to see them on screen. I like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It goes on the great tier. Eternals. I've only seen this one once, and I don't really want to see it again. It's a pretty boring movie. Now, there are some memorable things about it. The visual appeal is amazing. The Celestials look absolutely gorgeous. The whole spectacle of all our Eternals is really cool to watch. And all their powers, their fighting scenes are really visually stunning. But that's all this movie is. It's just like eye candy. It's not very well written. It's not well paced. All their characters aren't very interesting. The only one that I really liked was Kingo, who I thought was really funny. And then his camera guy was also really funny. But yeah, this is not one that I really want to go back and rewatch. There's some nice moments, and that's why I'm gonna put it on the okay tier. Yeah, Eternals is an okay movie. It's not bad, but I mean, it's just kind of there. Spider-Man: No Way Home, the movie we all love. I mean, the best theater experience anyone can ask for. All three Spider-Man on the big screen. What more could you want? It's really awesome. It's an awesome movie. Now, despite all its issues that I have with it, the three Spider-Man on screen together can elevate this movie 10 million times. It is so perfect to see them all together. Their dynamic is so amazing to watch unfold. And then there is a nice emotional core with MJ and Ned having to forget Peter, and that really hurts. And then Aunt May's death was pretty tragic. Now, the only real issues that I came in here that are really kind of affecting me from putting it on the masterpiece here are what they do with the villains. I think it's really stupid that Peter's kind of just bringing them back, and it's like, well, they're probably going to die anyways when they go back, and it's just kind of dumb. I didn't really like the villain storyline at all. But all three Spider-Man on screen together, fighting past villains, so cool to watch. Spider-Man: No Way Home is an awesome movie. Awesome. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Mid. Now, I don't hate on this movie. It's not bad, but Sam Raimi really disappointed us with this one. Now, I can say that Wanda's character was very well done. Seeing her story from WandaVision and then progressing it into this movie was pretty great. And, the full villain turn wasn't, it didn't really fit too well with me. But I still really loved Elizabeth Olsen in the role, giving her best performance that she has as the character in this movie. And, she has some really standout moments. Then, Doctor Strange character, I don't think Benedict Cumberbatch did an amazing job with him in this movie. And, all the multiverse stuff, it's like there's not much of it, and you're hoping for more in the Multiverse of Madness. Even if it wasn't cameos, just exploring the multiverse is such a cool concept that I really want to see fleshed out more, just seeing how different multiverses work. And we only got to see, 2 or 3, which was, it's kind of uninteresting, kind of boring. But, Multiverse of Madness, it's not bad by any means. It's okay. I'm going to put it on the okay tier. but it's quite disappointing actually. And you know, going back on the rewatch, it's just not one that I really care about all that much. It's not that interesting. It's pretty okay. Thor: Love and Thunder. Ah man, I remember being so excited for this movie to come out. I hurt when I saw it in the theaters. It really did, because that was my most anticipated movie for like the entire year. And Thor: Love and Thunder just really disappointed. Everything about this movie just doesn't work. Gore is not very well done. The pacing is horrible. Thor's character is not great, and then Thor and Jane's relationship and how Jane it gets Thor powers, super dumb. And then Jane's death was not very well done, not fleshed out enough. Didn't really hit you in the feels like it should have. It's just not a great movie, and I really hated how the movie ends with Thor adopting, you know, Gore's daughter. It's like, what the hell? Kind of makes no sense, kind of dumb. You know, there are some nice scenes, like, the only scene that I like actually makes no sense. It's when Thor gives all the kids powers, which he should have done for the Avengers. You have those questions in your head while watching that scene. It's really cool to watch. The action's well shot for that scene, and it was cool to see all the kids go at Gore, but it's like, well, that's dumb. Why can't he give them all his powers and not the Avengers? They would have easily defeated Thanos with that. And, you know, knowing that, it's like, ah, man, Thor: Love and Thunder, it's a bad movie. It's not great. Now, when the Guardians are on screen, that's fun, but that's only for like 5 minutes. So, you know, 5 minutes of good quality movie, and then the rest is just really bad. It's going on the bad tier. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, I think this movie is actually highly underrated. It's not talked about enough, even though it just recently came out like 6 months ago. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, it's a really awesome movie. It pays tribute to Chadwick Boseman while also continuing the legacy of the Black Panther in a unique and interesting way. Shuri is actually really great. I don't get the haters on Shuri. She's actually a nice female character and a really great hero inside of this film. I love what they do with her character. It really hits you in the feels. It's definitely one of the most emotional MCU movies. And with Namor as the villain was so cool to see. He's a menacing villain, but he also has a little bit of heart. And then Shuri and him coming to a truce by the end. Usually I don't like it when heroes reconcile with the villains, but in this movie it really made sense. It really worked on a very nice level, and I really liked what they did with this movie. And then of course that mid-credit scene really hits you in the feels that, you know, there's still a piece of the Black Panther inside of this world. There's still a piece of T'Challa within his son, and I think that's so special. Wakanda Forever is an awesome movie. I really don't get why people don't like it. It's a really awesome movie. I love Wakanda Forever. Then we got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, man, it was pretty disappointing. Now, there are some things that are redeemable about it. Kang is a badass, awesome villain. The comedy still slaps for Ant-Man movies, and it is very well done. The Quantum Realm has a nice little vibe, but it doesn't explore the atmosphere enough for you to really get immersed inside of this world. I don't really like what they do with Janet's character, even though people say it's the standout. I don't really like what they do with her. And then the Wasp is really sidelined, even though her name's in the title, which is like, oh my god, why? And Cassie, I didn't like her in this movie. I didn't really like her that she's now going on missions with her father, being really annoying. She's just not a great character. I just don't really like her. Kang's a badass, and the comedy's nice, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania just doesn't really work. It's going on the meh tier. Yeah, I don't really want to go back and rewatch it. Now we're heading into the TV show territory, and I didn't tell you guys how I split it up, but I had the Guardians movies in last because I want to talk about them last, as, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has just came out. But now we're heading into the show's territory, starting off with WandaVision. I actually really liked WandaVision. The journey was absolutely amazing. Waking up early every single time the show came out to watch it, super early, super up, and you were excited to watch it. Very intriguing, very interesting, and it really builds the world so perfectly. And I was so mad with the finale because I really didn't like the finale with a Ralph Boner joke, and then them messing up Agatha's final character, and then the Scarlet Witch stuff. It just doesn't work for the finale. Overall, the show's super intriguing. It gives you this immersive world that you want to dive deeper into every single week that a new episode came out. But the finale just really disappointed, man. It was really great. It was a great show. I'm gonna have to put it on the grade tier, but it was really held back by the finale, so it's definitely lower grade tier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, very, very underrated. My only really issue with the show was the villain and how they did her. Carly Morgenthau is not an interesting villain, but John Walker is. John Walker is a great character, and, you know, there's a lot of depth within him. you know, having his best friend killed and how that kind of sets him off into this darker path of Captain America. And he's not Captain America. He actually had good intentions. I don't get the hate for his character. Very well written, very well fleshed out, and he's just a man, right? He's not Captain America, and he never will be, and that's okay. He was just trying his best as the character, as the best Captain America he can be, and I think that's what really shines with his character. But of course, we got the better Captain America, Sam Wilson, who is just so cool to see on screen. Him taking flight with the Captain America suit, and then the shield was so cool to see in the finale. And, you know, Bucky gets some nice moments in there as well that really hit you emotionally. I actually don't get the hate at all. Thinking about Bucky, you know, confronting the old man whose son he killed, it really hurts to think about. I think they did this show very, very well. It's a great show. Falcon and the Winter Soldier deserves to go on that great tier, honestly. I really don't get why people hate it all that much. Just the villain and some pacing issues. Loki. My favorite MCU show. Loki was really great. It was super intriguing, very well written. Tom Hiddleston gives another great performance as Loki. The character is very well fleshed out, well written, and Loki's a great TV show. You know, there are some moments that you could kind of cut out, and some of it's actually quite forgettable of me trying to think back upon it. But everything was really well done. Tom Hiddleston's great performance. The multiverse exploring was really cool. Sylvie's a great introduction to the MCU, and then the Council of Lokis is also very great. Loki's a great show. Some emotional moments, some awesome moments, some very comedic moments. I really love Loki. What if? Now this show's kind of hard to rate as some episodes were absolutely awesome and some episodes were really bad. I'm gonna put it on the good tier actually. What If is a good show. There's some good, very good episodes, especially the zombie episode and then the Doctor Strange episode. Those were my two favorites that I actually want to go back and rewatch because those episodes were really interesting, very fun to watch play out. And, you know, most of the rest of them were like, they're alright, but the two episodes, the zombie and Doctor Strange one, really bring the show up quite a bit. What If's a pretty good show. It's a pretty good show. Hawkeye. Honestly, this show's pretty overrated. I did not like Hawkeye all that much. It's a nice Christmas vibe, and, you know, seeing Hawkeye's character get some more screen time was nice. Kate Bishop's a cool introduction to the MCU as well, but it's just super forgettable. The villain, they don't do Kingpin very well, and then our other villain in Echo is just kind of like, what? I don't know. Hawkeye I just never really go back to think on it, never go back to try to watch an episode or anything like that. It's very forgettable. It does have a nice little Christmas vibe, and there are some sweet moments with Kate Bishop and Hawkeye, and I like her as his protege, but honestly, Hawkeye is just an okay show. It's not one that I'm going to go back and rewatch, maybe at Christmas time to see a couple of the episodes, but yeah, it's just an okay show. Moon Knight. Oh man, I was so mad at this show for the finale because it was so good. It was so good. The first 1 to 5 episodes was absolutely amazing. And, you know, Steven learning about the abuse and the trauma that he actually faced and how it was really Mark and, you know, how Steven is just a persona inside of his mind really hurt in episode 5 to watch play out. There's a lot of moments in there that really, really hit you in the feels. But the finale, man, it actually is trash. It's one of the worst MCU finales out of all the shows, even though most of them had a really crappy finale. Moon Knight is definitely one of the worst of them. Just a giant kaiju fight with no real story, no real finishing of our characters' arcs. The only thing that really was cool was seeing Jake as the taxi driver and as the third persona inside of Mark's character. The show could have been really, really awesome. It could have been top-notch, best MCU show, but the finale really held it back. Still great. The action's awesome. The characters are great, and the emotion is really well done. Steven and Mark's dynamic is super cool to see on the screen. I'm going to put Moon Knight on the good tier. It's very close to the great tier, but man, the finale really hurt me. It really disappointed me. Miss Marvel. The only show that I didn't watch consistently every week. I watched 2 episodes, and then I took a huge break, like 3 months not watching the show. I'm like, you know, I have to watch it to do my rankings and stuff like that. And, you know, the first 2 episodes were actually quite fun, but the rest of the show is just, it's really unwatchable. It's not fun to watch. Very boring, very uninteresting. Most of the character moments aren't very well done. The only thing that's really nice is Kamala's charm and her character, but we don't even get to see much of that in the show. And I just didn't really like Miss Marvel. I didn't really resonate with the story or anything like that, and then the finale was just really lackluster. It was really dumb. wasn't well done at all. And then her going to Pakistan, and then that whole story arc was, it just doesn't really work on a story level. Very messy in pacing and very messy in character stuff. Other than Kamala, I just didn't really like this show. I'm gonna have to put it on the med tier, very low med tier though. We have come to the show that is on the absolute dog crap tier, She-Hulk. What more can I say? This show was absolute crap. I hated it so much. Every week was a dread to watch, but you know, we made it through. Only redeeming qualities were really Daredevil, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. The whole show was absolute trash, and then them having that lazy written finale just to make up for the mistakes that they made throughout the entire show was just super annoying to see. I did not like She-Hulk at all. Everything about it, the character is really horribly written. The story's not very well fleshed out. Everything just doesn't work. The villain is just internet trolls, and then them making fun of their audience. It's a horrible show. Never ever gonna go back and rewatch that one. Then we have these specials, these little shows over here. I'm not really gonna rank them on the tiers because you can't really compare these 40-minute specials to actual movies and TV shows. But I will talk about them a little bit. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is really sweet to watch. It's something that's very rewatchable. It's funny. It's a nice sweet time with our Guardians. Yeah, I really like the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Not much there, you know, on emotional or story level, but it's so much fun. These characters are absolutely perfect, and the comedy slaps. Werewolf by Night, very well done, very well written, and I really like what they do with like the atmosphere of it. It's kind of forgettable, but I do like the storytelling of it. I do like the pacing, and I do like how it takes you in this atmosphere, which is pretty interesting. And then the I Am Groot shorts, can't really say much about them, but they're very cute. Then we go to our last three movies, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, the most perfect MCU trilogy. The first Guardians of the Galaxy, my favorite of the bunch, gives you these band of misfit characters that are so broken and find family within each other. And that's a special story. You know, found family within each other. It's such a sweet story to see unfold. All of our characters are perfect. I love them all so much. And then seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 just makes me so sad after it hurts. It hurts because this team is so special to me. The Guardians of the Galaxy movies are perfect. The first one is a masterpiece. I'm going to put it on the masterpiece tier because that's what it is. The first Guardians of the Galaxy is a masterpiece, giving us this group of misfit and broken characters. They're just a bunch of a-holes, but they find family within each other. They find something to love, and I think that's what's so sweet. Of course, the action, the comedy, and the soundtrack are bangers as well. And everything about this movie is awesome. It's a masterpiece movie. I love the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, there it is on the masterpiece tier. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and after getting prepared for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I have to say I was completely wrong about this movie. It's an awesome movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is an awesome movie, and I was actually really surprised after rewatching it. I'm like, damn, it actually lives up to the first one. The soundtrack's amazing, the action's great, the comedy's great, and it hits you in the emotions with Yondu's death. It's very well done. Now, the only thing I really had with this movie was Ego wasn't a great villain. His character I just don't really like. I don't really like how they do Ego's character and just him and Star-Lord's dynamic in the film. It felt off at times. But overall, this film was really great. Yondu's funeral at the end, where they have the Ravager ship come in and, you know, do the fireworks show. And it was such a sweet movie. It really hits you in the feels, and it makes you have a great time throughout the entire film. By the end, you're feeling good watching it. I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It really gives you more vibes with the team, and I love that. It's going on the awesome tier for sure. And finally, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, for this one, I'm not going to be giving any spoilers, but it's awesome. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is pretty much the perfect ending for these characters. It leaves you on a high note, and I think that's what's special. Rocket's backstory is very emotional, very deep, and it hurts thinking about it. It's so sad, but then when you hit the end and there's just one final scene where they're all happy, it's special. It's very special. It's a special movie, and it's perfect that this movie ended on a happy note, and I think that's so sweet. Of course, comedy, action, soundtrack are absolutely phenomenal, and there's one action scene where it's the hallway fight scene where every Guardian gets a moment to shine, which is so cool to watch. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is awesome. great way to end off with these characters. Only thing I really had an issue with was the mid-credit scene, and I don't really want to spoil it, but spoiler warning, I actually do want to talk about it. So spoiler warning, if you haven't seen it yet, mid-credit scene, spoiler warning. I didn't like the new Guardians. I didn't like that we had this most perfect ending, and then we have to have this new Guardians and, you know, have another team. And I don't think that was a great idea, but other than that, the movie is perfect. It's an awesome movie. High Evolutionary is also a great villain. High Evolutionary was great. He's super hateable, and that's why Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 goes on the awesome tier. Now, let's rank these movies. Alright, at the bottom, She-Hulk, of course. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Then, I'm going to go Thor Love and Thunder over the Incredible Hulk, just because I do like the Guardians in Thor Love and Thunder, and just, the Guardians are always perfect. They're always perfect. Then, on the med tier, at the bottom, I'm going to have to go with Captain Marvel, then Thor the Dark World, Miss Marvel, Black Widow, and Quantumania. Quantumania is close to the okay tier. It's not horrible. Then we have the okay tier. At the bottom, I'm going to go with Iron Man 3, actually. Then Iron Man 2. Then Eternals. Then Doctor Strange. Then Eternals. Then Hawkeye. Then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Multiverse of Madness is at the top of the okay tier because I actually had some fun with it. Then on the good tier, we have a lot of movies to rank. At the bottom, I'm actually going to keep What If, then Thor. Then we go Ant-Man. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. Doctor Strange, Captain America, First Avenger, and then Moon Knight. Moon Knight was so close to being great because it had so many emotional moments, so many nice scenes that really hit you in the feels, so many nice moments with Steven and Mark's character, but it just didn't hit on that finale, which really sucks. Great tier. So many movies on the great tier, but at the bottom, I'm going to have to actually go with WandaVision. It's already there, so that's pretty good for me. Then we're going to go with Spider-Man Far From Home. It's a great movie, but, you know, still some slight flaws. It's still a great time. Then we'll go with Black Panther. And then our two shows, Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki. Honestly, like, I think, like, even after thinking about it a bit, I think the Falcon and the Winter Soldier could overtake Loki, like, really soon. If I rewatch Falcon and the Winter Soldier and I still hold it up to a high standard, I think it could go over Loki, actually, any day. Then we'll go original Iron Man, of course. And, yeah, then we'll go... And then we'll keep it like this. Homecoming, Winter Soldier, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Shang-Chi. I think Shang-Chi is just such a great introduction, origin story to the character. You know, there's some slight flaws, but Shang-Chi is a great movie. And then closely followed behind by the Avengers Age of Ultron and Captain America the Winter Soldier. Awesome tier. Now this is where it gets really, really tricky. At the bottom of the awesome tier, I'm actually going to go with the original Avengers. I was originally going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but I think the original Avengers, it's slightly less awesome than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, because I love that movie. Then we go Guardians 2, Wakanda Forever, and I'm not sure I'm ready to put Guardians 3 over Spider-Man No Way Home, but it will be soon. I can tell you that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be above Spider-Man No Way Home very soon. And then for the final masterpiece tier, I actually think this is in order. I might put the first Guardians of the Galaxy over Thor Ragnarok, but other than that, it's in order of the masterpiece tier. Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and Endgame. So yeah, that was my MCU tier list. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it was quite a long video, but for those who stick around to the end, thank you guys so much. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.